The dining room was awash in golden light, candles flickering alongside the bounty of Thanksgiving fare. Amara stood at the head of the long table, her heart swelling with pride as she surveyed the scene. There was the turkey, plump, bronzed to perfection, nestled in a silver platter, surrounded by bowls of creamy mashed yams, fragrant jollof rice, and glossy vegetable medleys. The tablecloth, a crisp ivory linen, was dotted with autumn leaves and miniature pumpkins, each place setting arranged with polished cutlery and fine china. Her daughter, Zara, sat at the small table beside the grown-ups. At 6 years old, Zara was chatterbox incarnate, a bright smile always ready to light up her face. Today, though, her wide brown eyes were unusually solemn. Amara caught her daughter's gaze across the table and flashed a reassuring smile. Embedded in that smile was memory. The countless Thanksgivings Zara had spent in laughter, scavenging the kids' table for extra drumsticks, making silly faces at Cousin Oluchi, and emptying gravy boats with childlike abandon. But today was different. As the family began to take their seats, Amara watched as her beloved daughter's smile faltered. She nudged her plate, but Zara didn't reach for the turkey or the rice. Instead, Zara's gaze darted around the table, lingered on Uncle Chuka's polished shoes, then Auntie Ronk's trembling hand. Amara's palm grew clammy around her wine glass. Just as everyone settled, Zara's voice cut through the soft hum of conversation. "Mum," she said, her small frame tensing. Heads turned. Utensils paused midair. Even the grandfather clock on the wall seemed to stop, its pendulum caught between ticks. Amara's breath caught. "Yes, sweetheart?" she asked, leaning forward. Zara swallowed hard, her lips quivering. It hurts to sit." The words echoed in the hushed room. The smile Amara had worn vanished, replaced by a sudden, chilling dread. "Zara, what do you mean?" Amara's voice was gentle, but her heart pounded like a drum. Across the table, Auntie Ronk's lips pressed into a thin line. Uncle Chuka looked up, momentarily startled, before carefully lowering his gaze. Other relatives exchanged puzzled glances. Murmurs fluttered. "Poor child. Maybe she's just tired." But Amara recognized the look in her daughter's eyes, the way her tiny frame trembled. There was fear there. "Zara," Amara coaxed, "if something's wrong, you can tell me." She slid out of her seat, reaching across the table to take Zara's hands. Zara hesitated. The room held its breath. Then, with a small nod, she whispered again, "It hurts." That single admission shattered the festive facade. Amara felt the weight of every eye on her, some sympathetic, some wary. She squeezed Zara's hands and whispered, "We'll talk, darling. Just you and me." And as Amara rose from her chair, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. In the quiet privacy of the guest room, Amara closed the door behind her and knelt beside Zara on the bed. The afternoon light filtered through sheer curtains, casting soft patterns on the floral wallpaper. Amara's heart ached as she watched her daughter clutch her doll. "Tell me exactly what you mean," Amara murmured, brushing a strand of hair from Zara's forehead. Zara's lip trembled. "At school, Uncle Chuka when he gave me a hug." Her voice was so small it might have been the wind. Amara's world tilted. Uncle Chuka, her husband's older brother, the man who doted on Zara, gifted her toys, taught her to ride a tricycle, had betrayed them. Betrayed Zara. "Your teacher noted bruises, didn't she?" Amara whispered, remembering a folded note in her bag. "Zara seems anxious, shy about sitting. Please check." She'd tucked it away, trusting the explanation of just child's play. Tears welled in Zara's eyes. He squeezed me. And when I said ow, he laughed. Her small voice broke. Then he told me to stop acting silly. Amara's chest tightened with rage and guilt. Guilt that she hadn't acted sooner. Rage that this had happened under her roof. She enfolded Zara in her arms, breathing in the faint scent of lavender from her daughter's shampoo. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I should have protected you." Zara leaned into her, closing her eyes. "Will it happen again?" Amara pressed a kiss to Zara's temple. "Never again. I promise." That evening, as the family gathered for tea, Amara's face was a mask of calm concern. Cousins giggled over slices of sweet potato pie. Aunt Kemi admired the crystal vase. Father and mother talked politics. But Amara's mind was in turmoil. She needed answers and action. After dinner, she excused herself under the pretense of helping in the kitchen and instead slipped into the study. There, she retrieved her phone, opened her gallery, and scrolled to the photos she'd taken, faint purple marks on Zara's thighs. Evidence. Her thumb hovered over the share icon. She hesitated. If she went to the police now, the entire family would explode in scandal. But how could she hesitate to protect her child? She tapped new message and added Auntie Ronk's number. She was Zara's beloved godmother, always quick with words of wisdom. Before she could send, a soft knock sounded. Amara? It was her mother, peering through the door. Are you all right? Amara blinked, forcing composure. Yes, Mum. Just thinking. Her mother's eyes flicked to the phone. If it's about Zara, I'll help. Amara closed the phone. Thank you, Mum. I'll handle it. As she returned to the kitchen, with her mother's silent support behind her, Amara knew the battle lines were drawn. The following morning, Amara arrived at Zara's school with a lump in her throat. The campus was filled with the happy chaos of children running and calling out. But Amara felt only dread. She was meeting Ms. O'Layton, Zara's homeroom teacher, in a quiet conference room. Ms. O'Layton greeted her with a warm smile that didn't reach her eyes. Amara, thank you for coming. She gestured to a plush chair opposite her desk. I was worried about Zara last week, her withdrawn behavior, the reluctance to sit. I wanted to check in. Amara nodded, steeling herself. I'm so sorry I brushed it off. Ms. O'Layton held out a brochure for child counseling. It's common to see signs like these in children who've experienced discomfort. I've arranged for an assessment, no cost. Amara swallowed hard. Thank you. I want to do whatever's best for her. As they spoke, Amara's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. A message from Auntie Ronk. We need to talk. Now. She rose abruptly. Excuse me, I have an urgent family matter. Back in her car, Amara dialed Ronk. What's going on? Ronk's voice trembled. He confessed. Amara's heart stopped. Chuka? Yes. I'm at his apartment. He said he did it, that he hurt Zara. He thinks you'll cover for him. Amara gripped the steering wheel. Where are you? In the foyer. I'm leaving. I couldn't stay. Amara's breath came fast. Listen to me. Get home safely. Don't reply to his messages. I'll call you in an hour. She ended the call, knuckles white. Laughter on the school playground reached her ears. Bright, carefree. And in that moment, every laugh felt like a knife. Later that day, the family reconvened under the pretense of dinner. The candlelight flickered across every face, but Amara's gaze was drawn to Ronk, who sat beside Uncle Chuka. Ronk's hands shook as she lifted her wine glass. Her eyes darted away whenever Amara looked her way. Chuka wore a polite smile, but there was something brittle in the curve of his lips. He offered Amara a slow nod before turning his attention to carving the turkey. The silence was thick, a predator stalking behind a veil of civility. Amara pretended to serve gravy, but each ladle of sauce felt like a betrayal of peace. She looked at Ronk, whose cheeks were pale. Finally, Ronk leaned forward. Amara, she whispered, so quietly that only Amara heard. You need to see her. Amara's blood ran cold. See who? Zara's bruises. Ronk's voice was urgent. I took photos. You need to decide now. Across the table, Chuka froze mid-slice. He glanced at Ronk, then at Amara. The dinner guests continued eating, unaware of the dangerous undercurrent. Amara slipped her phone from her pocket, opened the gallery, and scrolled to the images. She held the screen up for Ronk to see. Ronk's face fell further. Chuka stood abruptly. Stop this. His voice cracked, startling everyone. Forks clattered. Auntie Joke gasped. Mother's napkin fluttered to the floor. Amara ignored the hubbub. She turned the phone toward the table. These are my daughter's legs, Uncle Chuka. Her voice was steady steel. Explain. Uncle Chuka's face drained of color. He swallowed. For a moment, all strength seemed to have deserted him. Then he straightened, trying to recapture composure. Amara, this is family business. She met his gaze. No. This is my daughter's safety. Before she could voice her next demand, Mother rose from her chair. Her silver hair caught the candlelight as she placed a gentle hand on Amara's arm. It's Thanksgiving, she said quietly. Drama like this, Baiko, let's not air dirty laundry today. Amara's heart thundered. How could her own mother ask her to stay silent? But she saw the strain in her mother's eyes, the fear of scandal, the instinct to preserve harmony. I love this family, Amara whispered, voice trembling. But I love Zara more. Father's chair scraped as he stood. His voice, usually booming with authority, was low and grave. Amara, what you're accusing? I'm not accusing, she said, lifting her chin. I'm protecting. She turned to Chuka. You will leave this house. Tonight. Gasps circled the table. Romp clutched her napkin as if for dear life. Mother's mouth opened, then closed again. Chuka's face twisted in anger. Over my dead body, he spat. Amara inhaled, feeling Zara's small hand slip into hers under the table. She squeezed, drawing strength. Then call the police, she said softly. Silence fell thicker than the turkey's gravy. Plates remained half-eaten, gravy boats untouched. In that stillness, Amara realized the truth. Loyalty to blood meant nothing beside a mother's duty. Her mother's eyes brimmed with tears. Slowly, she nodded. The room exhaled, some in relief, some in sorrow. And as the candles guttered, Amara understood that this moment, this fracture, would be the first step toward healing. Late that night, Amara tucked Zara into bed, humming a lullaby she'd learned as a child. The soft glow of the bedside lamp revealed the pastel butterfly quilt and scattered storybooks on the floor. As she gently removed Zara's nightgown, Amara's breath caught in her throat. Across the backs of Zara's thighs were deep, purplish bruises, smudged in places, tender to the touch. Zara, these, Amara whispered, voice trembling. She pressed her fingertip lightly. The bruise faded under her touch, then bloomed again. A grim confirmation. Zara stared at the ceiling, silent tears pooling in her eyes. I'm so sorry, I didn't notice sooner, Amara choked out. She snapped a quick photograph, evidence, and stashed her phone away. Zara shifted uncomfortably. I didn't want to tell you, she mumbled. He said I'd get in trouble if I told. Who, sweetheart? Amara's voice hardened with protective fury. Uncle Chuka. A terrible clarity gripped Amara. The man who'd taught Zara how to tie her shoelaces, who'd gifted her toy cars, had broken every promise of safety. As Zara cried into her pillow, Amara held her close, promising silently, never again. By dawn, Amara had collected every scrap of proof, photographs, Zara's trembling words, and an old text from Chuka asking to babysit. She knew what she must do, but the road ahead would fracture their family forever. Amara's phone buzzed incessantly the next morning. The Adewale family group chat had exploded, red exclamation marks, dozens of unread messages. Oluchi, what did you do, Amara? This is a holiday shame. Kunnel, please stop with the drama. Mama Nkechi, children's stories. But amid the condemnation, a private DM lit up her screen. Cousin Bimbo, you're not the first. We all looked away. Amara's stomach churned. She tapped Bimbo's name. What do you mean? Bimbo's reply came quickly. He did it to me when I was little. And to others. My parents begged me to stay quiet. Amara's thumb hovered over the send button to the group. Should she expose the truth to everyone? Or protect her daughter's dignity? With a deep breath, she typed, I have evidence. I've contacted the police. This ends now. Gasps and angry emojis flew through the chat. Some messages turned supportive. Tunned. I'm so sorry this happened. Auntie Ronk, please let me help. Others doubled down. Uncle Doten, divide and conquer tactics. Amara silenced the group, stepping back from the phone. Whether they chose loyalty or denial, she had her path. Justice for Zara. That afternoon, Amara arrived at Zara's school clutching the crumpled note she'd found in Zara's backpack weeks earlier.
It read,
Zara appears anxious, reluctant to sit. Please follow up at home. She marched into Ms. O'Layton's classroom, where 6-year-olds painted finger turkeys on butcher paper. The teacher looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. I'm so sorry I ignored this, Amara said, handing over the note. I thought it was nothing. Ms. O'Layton's posture softened. Children often mask fear with silence. I tried calling you twice. Amara sank into a chair. I was afraid of overreacting. It's not your fault, Ms. O'Layton replied gently. But I'm here now. We'll get her the support she needs. She led Amara to a small counseling room where Zara sat coloring quietly. Zara. Amara knelt beside her. I'm so proud of you for telling me. Zara looked up, clutching her crayons. I was scared. Amara hugged her. You were so brave. We're going to make sure he doesn't scare you again. As they left the school, Amara felt a curious mixture of regret and relief. She had finally acted, and with the teacher's support, Zara would begin to heal. That evening, Amara drove to Uncle Chuka's downtown apartment. The city's skyline glittered behind her as she climbed the marble steps to his door. She carried her phone in her palm, voice recorder running silently. Chuka opened the door, feigning surprise. Amara? What's this about? Don't pretend, she said, stepping inside. I know what you did. His face went pale. You're overreacting. Amara's pulse pounded. My daughter's bruises don't lie. Your texts don't lie. She tapped record. Chuka's jaw clenched. Zara misunderstood. Children, they say things. Don't lie to me, Amara hissed. I have pictures. I have your own words. She's mouthy for such a small thing. He turned away, running a hand through his hair. I didn't mean. Amara stepped closer. You did. And you'll live with it. He whirled, eyes wild. You'll destroy me. Maybe, she said softly. Or maybe I'll save you from yourself. Chuka's shoulders sagged. He looked at the floor, shame bleeding through his shock. I'm sorry. The single word was his confession. Amara ended the recording, her resolve steel. Tomorrow, she would hand this to the police. The knock came at dawn. Amara and Zara stood at the window of their living room as uniformed officers stepped onto the porch, badges glinting in the morning sun. Mother hovered behind Amara, worry etched in her posture. Cousin Bimbo stood firm by her side. Ma'am Adewale? Detective Ibrahim's voice was kind but firm. Amara nodded, opening the door. Inside, the officers moved quickly. They read Chuka his rights, gently but insistently cuffing his wrists. Chuka's eyes met Amara's for a moment, shame, fear, regret all mingled there. Amara handed the detective her phone. Recordings, photos, messages, everything. Detective Ibrahim typed notes. Thank you. We'll ensure justice is served. As they led Chuka out, family members spilled onto the lawn. Some turned their backs. Others wept. Amara felt both relief and sorrow. Justice had been done, but the cost was immeasurable. Zara slipped her hand into Amara's. Will he come back? She asked, voice small. Amara knelt, brushing strands of hair from Zara's face. No, baby. Never again. A gust of wind stirred the autumn leaves, as if carrying away the last vestiges of fear. And though the road ahead would be long, mother and daughter faced it together, stronger, braver, unbroken. Word of Chuka's arrest rippled through the Adewale clan like a shockwave. At first, Amara expected support, but instead, she was met with cold shoulders and whispered condemnations. Over tea at her parents' home, her father's usual warmth had turned icy. Father, sternly, you've disgraced us all, Amara. Why drag our name through the mud? Amara, voice quavering. I did it for Zara's safety. Her mother, eyes red-rimmed, avoided looking at her. Cousins unfriended her on social media, Ants crossed the street rather than meet her gaze. Even Bimbo, who'd privately supported her, faltered under the weight of family pressure. That night, Amara sat alone in Zara's room, the little girl asleep clutching her favorite doll. Amara wondered if doing the right thing meant losing everyone she loved. Tears fell silently, grief for the family she'd lost, and gratitude for the daughter she'd saved. Just when Amara thought she stood alone, a message pings at midnight. "Meet me at the chapel." Nkechi. Mama Nkechi was the family's respected matriarch, a stern woman whose word once moved mountains. Amara arrived to find her grandmother kneeling before the altar, candles flickering in prayer. "Mama Nkechi," softly, "I've carried a secret for decades." Amara, heart pounding, "What do you mean?" Nkechi confessed that Chuka's abuse had spanned generations. "Your Aunt Bola, she vanished at 9. Your mother begged me to act, but we feared scandal. I chose silence." Her voice cracked. "I failed her." Amara sank to her knees beside Nkechi, anger and sorrow warring in her chest. "Silence cost Zara her childhood," she whispered. Together, they vowed to break the cycle. No more secrets, no more shame. With Mama Nkechi's blessing, Amara arranged counseling for Zara. Dr. Ifeoma's office was warm and inviting. Plush chairs, soft toys, and a rainbow of crayons. Zara, shy at first, clung to Amara's hand. Dr. Ifeoma gently, "Zara, would you like to draw how you feel?" Zara chose a purple crayon and began to sketch a storm cloud looming over 2 small figures. As days passed, her drawings grew more complex. Houses with barred windows, shadows reaching toward happy suns. Each picture was a confession. Dr. Ifeoma translated. "She's telling us about others, Amara. Children find subtler ways to speak truth." Amara's throat tightened. The healing had begun, but the darkness reached farther than she'd known. Detective Ibrahim's call came just as Amara was tucking Zara in one evening. "Ma'am, we found more on Chuka." He explained that police had discovered a hidden smartphone loaded with videos and messages implicating Chuka in other abuse cases. Amara's breath fluttered. "How many?" 17 victims identified so far. The detective replied gravely. "This goes beyond our family. It's a network." Amara felt both horror and relief. Horror at the scale of Chuka's crimes, relief that the truth was finally coming to light. With each new name, more survivors were offered hope, and Chuka's empire of silence crumbled. The morning newspapers blared the story across front pages. Beloved accountant charged in child abuse scandal. Television crews camped outside the Adewale mansion. Social media lit up with outrage and solidarity. At the press conference, Amara stood beside Detective Ibrahim and Dr. Ifeoma, holding Zara's hand. Reporters shouted questions, some accusatory, some compassionate. Amara spoke clearly into the microphones. "Amara, this began with one brave little girl's voice. Let it inspire you to believe every child." As flashes popped, Amara realized her fight had become a movement. Messages poured in, survivors thanking her, strangers offering support, families vowing transparency. Though her own clan had fractured, the nation rallied behind her cause, and Zara's voice rang louder than ever. Amara sat before the camera in a modest studio, bright lights haloing her weary but determined face. The host, a stern-faced journalist, leaned forward. "Host, you released your own video on social media, unfiltered. What gave you the courage?" Amara softly, Zara did. "If she could whisper through fear, I could shout through mine." Cut to Amara's viral clip, shaky handheld footage of her standing outside the family estate, voice cracking as she held up Zara's drawings. "Believe your children," she implored. Comments flooded in, thousands of shares, tears emoji, pledges to protect vulnerable kids. Back in the studio, Amara described the ripple effects, calls from survivors, messages from estranged family members seeking forgiveness, and strangers offering counseling resources. The host nodded solemnly. "Host, your family turned away. Yet here you stand, stronger." Amara, smiling faintly, sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone. but you're never truly alone when your voice echoes in the hearts of millions. As the segment ended, the camera panned to Zara in the green room, clutching Amara's hand and offering a brave smile. Together, they had transformed pain into power. Within days of Amara's video, inboxes overflowed. Dozens of survivors from other families and Chuka's former school reached out. Names scrawled in shaky handwriting on digital forms, photographs of bruises hidden for years, audio recordings of phone calls. Amara organized a support group at Mama Nkechi's old community hall. One by one, survivors, some as young as 8 at the time of abuse, stepped forward to share. A teenage boy spoke of rumors hushed by fear. A middle-aged woman described decades of silent suffering. Each story added weight to the indictment. Dr. Ifioma and Detective Ibrahim provided on-site counseling and legal guidance. Volunteers brought food baskets. Local news crews covered the gathering with respectful distance. Under bright fluorescent lights, the hall buzzed with relief and resolve. At day's end, Amara stood before the crowd. Your voices matter. Together, we expose darkness. A unified roar of agreement rolled through the room. Whispers of shame had become a collective cry for justice. The marble steps of the courthouse gleamed under a gray sky as Amara and Zara arrived, escorted by Detective Ibrahim. Inside, the courtroom was austere, dark wood panels, high ceilings, and a gallery filled with spectators, press, and victims' relatives. Chuka sat at the defense table, suit pristine, expression vacant. Across from him, Amara faced the judge, fierce yet composed. The prosecutor called Zara to the stand. In a small pink dress and pigtails, she climbed the witness box, trembling at first, then, finding Amara's supportive nod, she spoke in a voice steadier than expected. Judge, softly, Zara Adewale, please tell the court what happened. Zara, clearing her throat, he hurt me. It wasn't right. Her words resonated in the silent chamber. The defense attorney attempted to discredit her, but a montage of Dr. Ifeoma's therapy notes, Detective Ibrahim's recordings, and family testimonies fortified her account. Every exhibit, every witness, layered the case until the courtroom's chill gave way to righteous fire. Days later, the courtroom reconvened for sentencing. Amara sat with Zara on her lap, clutching her hand. The judge's robe swished as he entered. Judge, on counts of child sexual abuse, digital exploitation, and obstruction of justice, the court sentences you to 25 years in a maximum security facility. Chuka's shoulders slumped, his eyes flicked to Amara, regret and defeat beating behind his glare. A sharp intake of breath swept through the gallery, sobs, sighs of relief, and the quiet weeping of survivors finally vindicated. Outside, press cameras captured Amara's face as she stepped onto the courthouse steps. A reporter shouted, "How do you feel?" Amara paused, looking skyward. Amara, justice is heavy, but it's here. For every child who couldn't speak, for every voice that was silenced, you're heard now. She lifted Zara into her arms, and together they descended into a world irrevocably changed, but with the promise of healing shining ahead. 1 year later, Amara and Zara prepared a simple meal in their cozy apartment: roast chicken, sweet potatoes, and steamed greens. No extended family, no silent tension. Soft sunlight flooded the room as Zara set the table, humming a tune. Zara, smiling, "Mummy, this turkey tastes better." Amara, laughing because we made it together. They sat side by side, the table covered with a bright autumn tablecloth and a single candle. Zara's drawings, now colorful suns and open doors, lined the wall behind them. Amara, raising her glass of apple juice to us. Zara, clinking her glass to us. In that quiet moment, the past shadows felt distant. Mother and daughter shared a thankful smile, knowing that even in the darkest times, love and truth could forge a future where hurting to sit was only a memory, and healing sat comfortably at their table. The end.